This lesson is just to work through some examples. So please, as we go, pause, do your own work, unpause when you're feeling stuck, or when you're ready to check your answers. Let's start with the first. I'm going to look for the equation of the line through -5, 5 and 2, -4. I'm going to start by actually plotting those points in Desmos. So -5, 5, there's 1 point, and then 2, -4. There's my second point. Now, the reason I want to plot the points first is now when I calculate the slope, I have a sense of what sort of answer I should get. This line's going to go down. That would mean that my slope should be a negative number. If I don't get a negative number, I know I've made a mistake. Let's now go back and do this slope calculation. So set up my table, x's and y's, -5 to 5 for the first ordered pair and 2, -4 for the second. Now for the change in y, let's do bottom minus top, -4 minus 5. And then for the x's, bottom minus top, minus negative turns into plus positive. That's going to be a 7. So my overall slope then, change in y over change in x, -9/7. Now when you have a negative number in one part of your fraction, we will typically just write it in front. Those two are the same thing. Now to our point slope equation. Y equals space for the slope, parentheses, x minus, parentheses, plus. Let's put in our slope of -9/7. And now pick one of the two ordered pairs. It doesn't make a difference which one you pick. I'm going to pick, this time I have the second one. Now, if you pick the first, your answer should still be okay, as long as you're careful with your signs. So a 2 in here and a -4 in the back. Let's clean up our signs. So leave the slope alone. X minus 2 stays x minus 2, but plus -4, we're going to write as -4. All right, final step. I want to check this, make sure that it works out. We're going to graph our equation, and hopefully it goes right through the two ordered pairs that are graphed. If it does, that is the indication that we have done the right thing. All right, coming back, going to give you a highlight. Bam. Let's go again. So second example. Once again, I want to start off by plotting the ordered pairs. So I'm going to clear these out. We'll start again with 4, 3, and then the ordered pair, -1, 1. So this time, the slope I'm looking for, this line's going to go up. It'll be a positive slope, and not a steep one. So it'll end up being some fraction that is less than 1. Let's now make sure that's what happens. If you haven't already done this one, do a quick pause, try it yourself, and unpause when you are ready to check. First ordered pair, second ordered pair. For the change in y, bottom minus top, 1 minus 3. For the change in x, bottom minus top, that's going to be a -5. Our overall slope then, so change in y on the top, change in x on the bottom, negative divided by negative, I do want you to turn that into positive divided by positive. So 2/5. That's a positive number. That's less than 1. That's what we thought it should be. Now set up our point slope equation. Y equals space for the slope, parentheses, x minus, parentheses plus. Slope goes in the front. And then pick either of your ordered pairs. It's easier if you have the choice to use positive numbers. So I'm going to use the first ordered pair this time. It's only easier because then I don't have to do any sign changes for a final step. This is just the answer I want. Now let's hope that when we graph this, it goes through those 2 points that we had. So final step, check it, y equals 2/5, parentheses, x minus 4. Now so far I'm looking good, like my angle of the line looks right. So if I move it now up 3, it goes right through the points that we want it to. We know we have done things okay. These next two examples come from the practice packet, so have that in front of you if you don't already. I'd like you to do a quick pause, try it yourself, unpause when you're ready to check. Start with our table. We've got a -4, -1, and a 0, 4. Next up, change in y, bottom minus top, 4 minus -1. That's the same as 4 plus +1, which is going to be 5. Change in x, bottom minus top, minus -4 is the same as plus +4. So we end up there with 4 for the delta x. Slope then, change in y on the top, change in x on the bottom. When you're picking your ordered pair, if you have a 0 as one of your choices, that also often makes it a little easier. So I'm going to choose that point as I set things up. Y equals, space for the slope, x minus, space for the coordinate, with a plus after the second parentheses. Slope goes in front. We've got an x coordinate of 0, y coordinate of 4. This isn't wrong, and I won't count it wrong, but x minus 0 is really just x. So it's simpler to write it this way. Before we move on, let's give it a check. I should be able to plot those two original points as well as my equation and see that they all line up correctly. So parentheses, -4, -1. There's my first point. Second point, 0, 4. And now our equation, y equals 5/4, x plus 4. That looks good. I've got my line going through those 2 points. That's the best part about this. You can check every single one on a graph and know if you've done it right. If you ever don't have your line go through those 2 points, that just means there's an error. We go back and we try and find that error. Once again, let's set up a table. If you didn't do this one already, quick pause, try it yourself. Change in y, bottom minus top, -3 minus 1. Change in x, bottom minus top, minus negative is the same as plus positive. I tell you what, I want to get in the habit here again of checking my points first so I can see if my slope matches up. So I'm going to graph these 2 points, -5, 1. So that's over here in quadrant 2, back 5 up 1. 0, -3 is going to be on the y-axis. 0, -3. So I should get a negative slope this time. Let's make sure that does, in fact, actually happen. Overall slope then, change in y on the top, change in x on the bottom. And when there's only one negative, we'll typically write it in front. Looks good. Final then, in the point slope equation, y equals space for the slope, parentheses, x minus, space for a number, parentheses plus. You can choose either ordered pair. We did the one with 0 last time. Let's do this one this time just for fun. So the slope number goes in front of the parentheses. The -5 in here, and the 1 on the back. I do want you, when you see a minus a negative, to rewrite it as a plus. So -4/5 x plus 5 plus 1. Let's graph it. Make sure it goes through those 2 ordered pairs. Y equals -4/5. Parentheses, x plus 5. Okay, so the angle looks good, plus 1. Sure enough, goes right through both ordered pairs, so we know we've done things right. So please follow those steps. Set up your table, find your slope, use your point slope, and then check on a graph.